You're listening to the Cambridge Insider Podcast. In this episode, Stephen and Mariah discuss the latest political announcement for H-1B visas. This episode is sponsored by Archbishop Williams High School, located just 18 minutes from downtown Boston, educating young men and young women spiritually, intellectually, ethically, and physically. Thanks for listening.
Cambridge Insider Podcast time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cambridge Insider Podcast. Mariah Thompson, co-host and content director, I think is maybe another title that we need to throw your way. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I have all the things under my title. So it is good to have that too, though. But yeah, doing well. I'm excited for fall weather, for all the upstate New York things, apple picking, pumpkin picking, just pumped about it all.
That's it. As a true Northeasterner, can I call you that, a Northeasterner? That I think is fair. Most of my friends who grew up in the Northeast just love this time of year. For me, it's a little bit to do with allergies, which are sort of rearing their heads back up. So, the house is a little allergy stricken at the moment, but we'll survive. The weather is nice for all of our students who are in the Northeast. Really across the country, there's a change in weather. It doesn't matter where you are, and it's nice to see the seasons. So to all of our students, we know that there's a lot of things happening at the beginning of the school year, and fall is often a theme around a lot of what we see, and it's great for people to experience that because it is such a fundamental part of American culture, I feel like, the fall.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. As always, at the Cambridge Insider Podcast, we really want to utilize our time to sort of go through what's happening, what we're seeing in the news, and some of the feedback that we're getting in particular from some of our school partners. And we tracked down a really relevant article for something that has been coming up recently. And I'm going to let sort of Mariah introduce it, but really the H-1B visa fee increase that went into effect, I think last week, or at least got announced last week, that we know has caused a ton of buzz in the industry. Mariah.
Yeah, so if you're looking at our show notes in the bio of this, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or in YouTube, you'll see two articles. One will be from ABC News, just discussing over the H-1B changes in visas. And then we have another article for someone who has a perspective for international students in the breakdown. And so today we'll just go over some of that news. We're going to keep it to a semi-short podcast episode because we just want to get you straight to the points in the news and updates on our side of things for it. And so just to go into it, Stephen, I know a lot of our school partners are very familiar with having an F1 visa or a J1 visa. But it does, when you hear things about other visas taking place, it does put some shock or questioning into what does that mean for our visas and who that affects. So can you just go over maybe when they say there's changes in the H-1B visa, what does that mean and what is happening and any other standpoints on that?
Yep. Good questions, all of them. So the H-1B visa, and I'm not going to go word for word just so certainly don't quote me on exactly that, but the H-1B visa for our purposes at least is a immigrant visa for people that want to come to the United States to work, to be a part of the workforce and then legally work in the country. And last week the US administration increased the fee of the H-1B visa quite significantly to $100,000 to be able to obtain that H-1B visa. It used to be significantly lower than that. And that caused a lot of shock, in the international education industry, in a lot of sort of tech companies that use that H-1B visa for many of the people that they employ to work there. I think we want to really, for the purposes of international education, again, just get down to what the facts are. I think when people hear this type of thing, rightfully there is concern. And I think, when it was announced, maybe there were some details that certainly were a little bit murky or that we didn't quite know about. And I think it's important for us to be able to just understand what those are. So, yes, the cost of the H-1B visa has gone up significantly. Here is the important part of it. And we had a lot of partners reaching out to us, a lot of people in the industry saying, oh my goodness, students are no longer going to want to come to the US because of the cost of this visa. If you look at it just from the outset, you might say, sure, that makes a ton of sense, because a lot of the students that we get at an F1 high school level are students that come here with the sort of end goal of, yes, I want to do high school in the US. Yes, I want to do a couple of years of college in the US, and then hopefully be able to be employed by a US company in the United States, right? So when you look at it just from that perspective, people go, if the price of visas to become a worker in the US has gone up so much to $100,000, students are no longer going to see this as a viable pathway. Here's the important part that I want to emphasize for everybody listening, is that price increase does not apply to people who are already visa holders. For example, F1 high school students that are currently in the country that will go on to become, go on to, universities and colleges in the US, and then go on to hopefully, if it is part of what their goals are, to be able to work in the United States. So it does not apply to them. So I think that's a really important distinction for us to remember. And I think sort of overarching of this is, again, just something that we went over last week. And I certainly don't want to sound like a broken record here, but it's really important when we do see these headlines, and there's a ton of headlines. Let's do a little bit of research. Let's find a couple of different sources, do research, get to the crux of the problem or the crux of the article, and then not just do research, but also, I find a lot of the industry is very hung up on the negatives. It's certainly not to say there aren't any negatives, that there aren't any obstacles for the industry. There certainly are. But I know for when Mariah and I chat about this show and the Cambridge Insider podcast, we have a lot of committed school partners, and we're really trying to use this platform to give solutions, to help them to understand the industry while they make a success of their international programs and how they host international students. So that's really what we're focused on. So it isn't quite as bad as it is from the F1 high school student perspective. And I think that's important to remember.
Yeah, that's good. I think that, like you said, this podcast is to help you stand from the standpoint of your school, if you're listening, and your international students. And so, like we've said in the past, when we see headlines like this, as your partner, we're gonna do the research too and pose it to. But we always say just hang on, because as you've seen this year, how many times things have gone into effect, and then on the political side, they're working things out too. What's going to work and what's not going to work. Exactly. And so we want to see. Well, maybe we'll follow up in a month or two, see even if this is still intact and what that has actually done. But for our side of things, from this first initial change, it should not affect the F1, but we will again keep in touch with, even if this is still in order or not.
100%. And with this being the fall and school having kicked off, we recently sent a ton of market updates to our school partners. This is a huge time for schools and international programs to really focus on what is the next step. How does the year ahead look in terms of looking after the students that we have on campus? What does the year ahead look like in terms of strategically planning for enrollment and recruitment drives that are so important? And the planning has already started. I don't want to say it's starting now. It has already started. As always, reach out to Cambridge. We if we don't have the answers, we want to communicate. We want to connect. We want to try and come to find solutions together. And I think that's really, really important. Mariah, any final thoughts from your side, other than the great apple picking that's ahead in upstate New York?
No, yeah, just some Cambridge updates, and just to keep it quick, but we've just noticed on the host family side of things, that we're 5 years out from the start of our pandemic, where people were hesitant to have outside of family people in their homes, and we're just seeing it easier to recruit hosts in areas. And so if you are someone who is doing their own homestay program, or we're hesitant to even sign CEM because of homestay issues, I'm overseeing the host recruitment for our company now, and I'm really seeing a turn of people being more committed, actually like reaching out because they want to do it. And so I just wanted to share that hopeful tone for the host recruitment side.
100%. And if you have hosts that are interested, again, reach out. Mariah and I are always happy to have that conversation. So all of our listeners, remember to like, listen, subscribe. We appreciate you being here. We hope you find these podcasts useful as you start planning for the year ahead. And we'll see you around the next episode of the Cambridge Insider podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Cambridge Insider podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. For more Cambridge updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Have a great week and stay connected.